Have you ever wanted to raise chickens or get your own fresh eggs every day? Well, in this video, we'll discuss 10 things you want to consider if you want to raise chickens in an urban or suburban environment. So stick around. Hey YouTube, welcome to City Prepping, where we discuss emergency preparedness and self-sustainability in an urban or suburban environment. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. I recently had a subscriber, Dom2423, ask if I could do a series of videos about raising chickens in an urban environment. And in this video, I'd like to share with you what I've learned over the last 7 or 8 months raising my own chickens. To be honest, it's been a very, very easy process. There really hasn't been that much work involved. I've just followed a few simple tips that I learned before I got my own chickens. And it's really an awesome thing because every day I go out and I have a whole set of fresh eggs every morning. There's just a few basic things I follow, and so far I've had a lot of really good success with it. So I'd like to go over 10 things I learned and hopefully can get you started on raising chickens in an urban environment.
Number 1 is check with your city ordinance. The first thing you want to do is find out what your city's rules are. I live in a suburban environment, and my particular city is fine with raising chickens. They have a few simple rules which are really designed to make sure you're not bothering your neighbor, like where the chickens are located in conjunction to their house, and you really can't have roosters due to their noise. If you're not certain, contact your city hall. Chickens are becoming increasingly popular in urban and suburban environments, so they'll probably have some set of rules which will determine if you can even move forward or not. If everything checks out, then by all means go for it. Number 2, find a local store that sells chickens. Why do I recommend this? Well, if you're new to raising chickens, it'll be good to find a store that can walk you through the details, which, to be honest, there's really not many, and help you when you run into any issues to answer any questions you may have. Again, fortunately with raising chickens, there's not really much you need to do, but every now and then I've had some questions, and it's been really nice to have someone that I can go and talk to and that can explain to me answers to different questions I have. I picked up my chickens at a local store called Dixieline, which is a Southern California based company, but each area will have its own store that services the agriculture community. Just go to Google and type in "where can I buy chickens" along with your city name, and you'll probably find a lot of options. Number 3, chickens need a shelter. This is important to protect them against the elements and predators. I decided to just pick up a coop that was prefabricated when I got our chickens. But if you want to go the do-it-yourself route, there's a lot of videos on YouTube showing you how to do it. You really don't have to invest much money into it if you don't want to. Now, if you do go the do-it-yourself route, be sure to have the following. Set up a roost for them, and they're comfortable sitting on these and even sleeping on them. It needs to have ventilation. My particular coop has a lot of fencing and ventilation on the back of the box where they sleep and lay their eggs. And also, they'll need nesting boxes. This is a place that encourages them to lay eggs. I put down wood shavings here, and it's really fascinating. They always lay the eggs in the same place every day in the same corner. It's actually really awesome instead of having to try to hunt down, where do they lay their eggs today? They always just lay in the same place. Also, make sure you have enough fencing for the box to keep predators from reaching through like possums, which will kill the chickens. You also have to be careful of the neighborhood cats and other animals that come out at night. Thankfully, every evening at dusk, my chickens go right into the coop by themselves, and I just have to come out and lock the gate every night. So number 4, what chickens like to eat. First of all, I give them chicken feed. The great thing about this is that it has most all necessary supplements they'll need to create a great egg in a hard shell. I just fill up their feeder and keep an eye on it. Once the chickens start laying eggs, their diet will require about 1 to 1.5 cups of chicken feed per day. Now, one of the things they love the most is worms. There's nothing that a chicken loves more than this. We've had some worms get in our garden, and every time I found them, I toss them over the fence into the area where the chickens are at, and they'll go crazy for these. They'll be your friend for life if you give them these. Bugs. They will constantly scratch around for bugs. I like to let them out into our main backyard several times a week, and they'll go to town searching for bugs. It's also a great way to manage any bug issues you have in your backyard. Also treats. Since my chickens aren't technically free-range chickens, I give them these dried worms, which they also love, and it helps provide them with essential supplements as well. Greens. When the chickens get out into the backyard, they go to town on my grass, and also we throw anything green like salads over the fence instead of putting that food into the compost, as long as it's not rotten. You can also supplement a chicken's diet with table scraps. Leftover fruits, vegetables, and grains are great for a chicken's health, but don't obviously feed them anything, like junk food and meat or raw potatoes or anything like that. Number 5 is water. Be sure to give them plenty of clean water. I purchased a water when I got the chickens, and I elevated it up on some bricks because they were pooping on it when I left it just on the ground. And so I ended up lifting it up so they weren't doing that. If there was anything different I'd do with my setup, it would be I would find a better watering system, but this one does the trick for now. Be especially careful in the summer when it gets hot, as they'll go through a lot of water and they can die quickly if they don't have enough. Number 6, they like to take dust baths. Chickens really enjoy digging into the dirt to make a hole that they can lay in and flap their wings to give themselves a dust bath. It helps keep their wings clean and free of parasites. If you don't have access to dirt for them, you can give them a box that's about 2 by 2 and fill it up with chicken dust, which you can pick up online. Since my backyard is mostly dirt on the side of my house, they've been totally fine. Number 7, chickens produce a lot of poop. This was the thing that kind of caught me off guard when I first got into chickens. I think I envisioned that they would just keep it in the chicken coop, but man, they cover the ground in this stuff. Fortunately, I haven't found it to smell, but the downside is that it attracts flies, which is a problem over the summer, causing me to have to set up fly traps everywhere. The good news is that you can take this byproduct to your compost, but don't put it directly into your garden. So expect this with chickens. Number 8 is temperature regulation. During the summer, you want to keep them in the shade. I keep mine on the side of the house that has shade at all time. So while it wasn't necessarily pleasant for them in the summer where it can get really hot, they did just fine. And during the winter, just know that adult chickens can handle the cold. Where I live, fortunately, doesn't get too cold. But if it dips down into the 20s in your area, you're going to want to consider getting a heat lamp. I picked up a heat lamp when they were just chicks to keep them warm, and I'll probably add it to their coop when the winter hits so they'll have a place to go if they're cold. Number 9 is the amount of space. Regarding space, the minimum rule of thumb is about 2 to 3 square feet per chicken inside the chicken coop, and about 8 to 10 square feet per chicken in an outside run. More square footage is always better though. I let my chickens out into the backyard frequently to give them room to run around and look for bugs. Remember, happy chickens will definitely deliver on eggs. And number 10 is just go for it. My personality type is that I tend to plan out everything in advance, but with the chickens, I kind of went for it on a whim, and it's been really easy overall. I got them when they were a day old and have been very surprised at how little work has to really be put into them. I got them before Easter in April, and by the beginning of August, they start producing eggs. On average, 1 per day per chicken. As long as you have food and water, they're good. And most days, I just walk out in the morning, let them out, get the eggs, give them some dried worms, and then come back to close their coop at night. And that's really it. As long as you follow these tips that I outlined in the video, they'll deliver nice fresh eggs for you. Again, I can't emphasize how easy they are. So there you have it. I've had a lot of people in the comments section ask me to do this particular video since they've seen me talk about chicken in other videos. So if any of you have any questions or I didn't cover something you are wondering about, feel free to post that question in the comments section below. And if there's anybody out there that's watching this video that raises chickens in this environment and has some additional tips or feedback, again, I learned so much from the YouTube community, so please post that below. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to click on the like button, share on social media, or subscribe. As always, be safe out there.